Today is April the 14th, 2014. My name is Tanya Finchum along with Alex Bishop. Today we're in Tulsa, Oklahoma to speak with Zella Hunter. And this is regarding our 100-Year Life project. So thank you for having us today. Let's start with having you tell us when and where you were born.
You ready? 1911, August 29th, Porter, Oklahoma.
And what did your parents do for a living?
Farmers.
Farmers. Were they from there or had they moved?
From Paris, Arkansas to Oklahoma.
Well, a little ways. Did you have brothers and sisters?
Oh yes.
And how many?
3 brothers and 1 sister.
And where were you in the order?
The baby.
The baby. Did you get out of doing chores?
No, because she had lost some in between. She was a mother of 9, but only 4
Survived.
of us survived. Farmers in the old new country and all that had its effect on them.
Mm-hmm. What did they farm?
Cotton.
Cotton. So you had to
corn.
So you had to pick cotton?
Oh yes.
Did you? Mm-hmm. Well, did you go to school?
Oh yes. I went to school here in Tulsa.
In Tulsa.
High school.
High school. What about elementary school, first grade?
Porter. In the country.
I'm not sure where Porter is from here.
South of, close to Wagner, in Wagner County.
Okay, it's a smaller town?
Yes.
Smaller. Can you talk a little bit about the house that you grew up in?
The house?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was more or less a shack. My grandfather lived with us, and he knew how to make shingles, and and we had a cellar that we went in when it stormed, and just poor folks, that's all.
Did your mother do a lot of canning?
Yes, what she was able to can. And when I say that, I mean that there wasn't much to can on the land where we lived.
Mm.
Few chickens, a cow or 2, and a couple of dogs. And my kitty.
And your kitty?
I had my cat.
Do you have a name?
Huh?
What was the name of your kitten?
Kitty cat.
Did you have to milk?
Did I have what?
Did you milk?
No, I had to churn. You don't know anything about that?
Oh yeah.
Homemade butter?
Butter, oh yes.
Do you remember seeing your first car?
Yes. I do.
About the first ride you took in one?
My brother-in-law bought a T Ford, and I got to ride in that. I wasn't very old.
What about your first airplane?
I've had several airplane rides here from Tulsa to California, Florida, Texas, Kentucky. I've been around a little bit.
Sounds like it.
Well, I've done a lot of church work,
Okay.
and that necessitated my travel.
What did you do most of your life relative to the church? What?
Whatever I was asked to do, small congregation.
And what was your role? What was your role? What?
Oh, teaching children. Yes, I have a few of them around now, and they check on me, and one or two that live far away, and they call and check on me.
Did you sing in the choir?
Oh no, I could not sing. That I have to deny. Oh, I couldn't sing. I enjoyed a little singing.
When you were growing up, what were some things you did for fun?
Oh, I played basketball in high school.
Where did you go to high school?
Here,
What was the
Booker
name?
T. Washington.
What position did you play?
Center.
Center. Tall. Was it half court? Was it a half court game at that point for girls? Was you just played half court?
Yes, I guess you'd call it that. I kind of forget some things.
Well, I think for girls they just did half court early.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you didn't go across that line.
Yeah.
I have fun with some of the younger people. I let them know that my team at Booker T was the first team to wear shorts. And they weren't really short, they come to my knee.
Well, before shorts, what did you wear? A skirt? Or
Bloomers.
bloomer.
Did you ever see those? They were pleated and had elastic here and bloom.
Doesn't sound very comfortable.
Huh.
That does not sound very comfortable.
Yeah, they were very comfortable.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Shorts, though.
And when you're a kid, everything's comfortable, you know, if the teacher lets you do it.
I assume you must be the oldest living alum from Booker T. Washington. I assume you're the oldest living alum from Booker T. Washington today.
Yeah, they tried to get me into this celebration, but I just didn't feel up to it. The physical part. So I just had to deny them.
Can you tell us a little bit about your high school days?
Huh?
Can you tell us a little bit about your days in high school at Booker T. Washington? Do you remember anything?
Well, since that's as far as I went in school, it was the joy of my life. We had good teachers. We loved them, and well, in Booker T, of course, was the only black high school, so we got, and Tulsa wasn't big. We got to know everybody. We knew kids. I lived in what they called the Lansing edition, close to Lansing, and then there were kids that lived in the Greenwood edition on that side of town. So, and then we all came together in the 7th grade at Booker T.
Okay. What year did you graduate? What year did you graduate?
31.
31.
Was my class. Dr. John Hope Franklin was my classmate, my class president. He just died. Well, the two of us were the last two living in the class. I think he was 94.
So,
But he did a lot with his life. His dad, of course, was a lawyer and was on a salaried man, you know, and was able to do for his family.
I think he was a professor, wasn't he? He went on to be a professor, didn't he?
Historian, he wrote
Historian.
books.
Yeah. Okay. And after high school, what did you do?
I went to work as a domestic. Worked for a lovely family. And my family, my life today is as easy as it is because of them. They were a good family. 2 adopted children. And they are gone naturally.
And then when did you get married?
You remember?
Well, then let's go back. How did you meet your husband?
In high school.
High school, sir.
He went to high school at Haskell and came to Tulsa, finished here.
So probably in the 30s is when you married him? Probably sometime in the 30s is when you married?
Isn't that funny? It must have been 1929, I think it was. What year was your daddy born? 1930.
That's okay.
Kind of bum puzzle there.
It's during the Depression. It was during the Depression?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, one of the questions I have, because because Tulsa has a history. Were you in Tulsa at the time of the race riots?
No, I came here in 1925.
So you missed all of that.
Things were still kind of bad then, but we survived.
Yeah, they've been talking a lot about the history of those riots recently. Very, very interesting history.
I had my oldest brother was here working.
You got here about the time of the Depression then, just before.
Yes.
What was that like?
That was terrible, because it was maid work, they called it, and I think my husband worked about 14 days a month. Maid work, you know. So, Dust Bowl and all of that was during that time. People started leaving Oklahoma, going to California.
Did your parents stay in Tulsa then? Did your parents stay here?
Oh,
Did your parents stay here in Tulsa?
yes.
They didn't move again?
We moved from the farm to Parson, Kansas for a year, and then to Tulsa.
Well,
I was about 12, I think, 11 or 12, yeah. 'Cause I remember going to Dunbar School in the 5th and 6th grade. At least that's the way I remember it.
were any of your siblings in the war? Were any of your siblings in the war? World War II?
The oldest one, yes. So he never did come back to the farm when the war was over. He came to Tulsa.
Well, when your parents moved here, did they still have a farm?
No, we never owned a farm. We were sharecroppers, if you know what that is.
I do. Rough life.
You could buy a sack of meal, I think about 25 pounds, and a 50-pound sack of flour and a sack of sugar. You got that at Porter from the merchant. And of course, your crops paid for that, so you started all over again, borrowing, so you could make it. Yeah. I can kind of remember those things. Hearing people talk about them makes me remember more. Oh, we made us sorghum syrup on the farm.
With homemade biscuits. It's good on homemade biscuits. Homemade biscuits.
Oh yeah, we made, And I still can't find any cornbread dressing like my mother used to make.
I can't either.
She didn't pass the secret to you? Did she pass that secret off to you, that recipe?
No, that's a pretty good cook over there. It kind of fell on her.
Skip the generation.
Yes.
So what was your family life? Can you talk a little bit about your family, that you and your husband and raising children? What was that like?
My family played out, died out, and that was strange. Because when we moved to Tulsa, the two last boys to move here became merchants. One ran a fish and grocery market, and the other one ran a grocery store. Each one of them had one child, and one of them a whole lot of grandchildren, but the other one didn't have any grandchildren. And the one that went to war did not have children. My sister had one daughter. She lived to be 13 and passed. And of course, they were teenagers when I was born. And that made me not really grow up with them until we moved to Tulsa, and we loved one another, you know. So, but the black family was different because of slavery. And I had a friend, the first woman to finish Tulsa University. And she was in a class, and they were talking about the blacks and the whites, and she told me what the conversation was like. The black family sent their daughters to college, but the boys stayed on the farm and did the farming. And I think my brothers were the exception in that they were able to have good wives that worked with them to produce like they did for so long. That's it.
How many children did you have?
Just the one son.
One son.
But I got a bunch of grandchildren. I have two granddaughters that live here in the block, and they see after me. And a great-granddaughter lives across the street over there with children, and so that keeps me alert.
And what was it like for you to be a mother?
Joy of my life. My son went to Booker T, was one of their best football players. That made my husband and me proud.
Was he aware that you were on the first team to wear shorts? Was he aware that you were on the first team to wear shorts?
Yes, because I had my picture in the book.
Okay.
It's here somewhere.
I know when you play sports, you pass your stories on to your kids. So he played football. That made you pretty proud. Did you go to a lot of games?
You know.
You go to a lot of his games?
Oh, yes, I wouldn't miss one. Sit there with my heart beating until my son would get up and I'd know he was all right. I went to the games to take care of him. No, that was fun going to the games, and as I said, there wasn't too many people in Tulsa then, so we knew everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it was,
Now when you went to Booker T. Washington, you talked about the teachers. Was there during your time at Booker T. Washington, was there a teacher that you remember that was very important to you?
oh yes, yes. The subjects that I liked. I loved my English teacher. I really loved my sewing teacher. That became a hobby. I passed it on to her. She sews. I loved music class because I love hear them sing and be able to carry notes, but I really couldn't carry a note. The teacher tried, but it was one of those things I wasn't blessed with.
Did you make quilts?
Oh yes, sure did. My mother did a lot of quilting. That was her hobby and what she did to make the living. Make quilts for folks. And that was here in Tulsa when we moved here.
Did she use cotton feed sacks?
Did you what?
Use cotton feed sacks, flour sacks, to make her quilts?
When we were in the country, she used the cotton sacks for sheets for the boys' beds.
Oh, no.
The bottom part would be worn out. Take and sew them together. And those 50-pound flour sacks, she made sheets for my bed and her bed. We made it.
You made it. So you were in Tulsa when segregation or desegregation was going on?
Was it what?
In the 60s you were here?
Yes.
60s and 70s when
Yeah.
desegregation?
I was at a meeting at First Baptist Church, Black, and heard Martin Luther King speak. And I also heard the woman that sat on the bus.
Rosa Parks? Rosa Parks.
I've heard her speak. Yeah. I've seen a little history
No,
in
just,
my time.
just a little.
I've lived to see. Tell it, Joyce.
What?
I've lived to see how many presidents? 19, aren't they?
I think so.
19 presidents. What else? Oh, I know now how I put it. I said I've outlived 7 generations of my family, 50 years of marriage. What else?
19 presidents.
Huh?
19 presidents.
19 presidents.
Yeah, 19 presidents. 7 generations of my family. I see, my mind is getting mixed up now. And then I had a hobby of cutting out articles and just pasting them in a book if I didn't want to forget them. And the one article that I cherish most, since it was just stuff, and I just got this in the last year or so, of the United States last 50 years. What's the president's name?
Obama?
Clinton
Oh, Clinton. Okay.
has the highest IQ. Jimmy Carter, the second, and Kennedy, the third. And I have fun asking everybody that question. Do they know the presidents with the highest IQs? Articles like that I just kept because I just didn't want to lose that little knowledge. And every once in a while, when I could see, I would look at the book.
Well, your part of your history has been electricity and running water,
Yes.
microwave,
Yes.
Oh,
All of that good stuff.
all that good stuff, I guess. And now cell phones. And now cell phones.
Yes, I don't like that. She brings hers over and I use it.
Different from having a party line.
Oh yes, yes, indeed.
I want to know, in terms of going back to the 50s and 60s, what was the civil rights movement like here in Tulsa? Were you involved in any way, or do you remember any of the things that went on in Tulsa?
No more than we tried to stay together, and we've always had NAACP. The name of that other one just skipped me. And so we tried to stay together and do what was best for the community. It was tough. You go in a store to buy something, and if a white person come up, they'd let you stand there and wait till that person was waited on. And that hurt. And you couldn't eat anywhere but at Chris's. And that wasn't very pleasant. They didn't want to wait on you. It was rough. So you were lucky coming out of the Depression. That's the reason I said my life hadn't been so bad, in that I made a pretty good marriage and worked for a good family and had one son, and so I feel like I did pretty good. It could have been a lot worse, but it wasn't. That's about all.
Well, would you travel to Bowley any?
To Bowley?
To Bowley?
Oh yes, we had a church at Bowley and used to go down there for meetings. And one of my best friends is from Bowley. And when I had my 100th birthday celebration, her daughter from California sent me $50.
Only 50? I would expect a $100 bill. I would have expected a $100 bill.
Well, I was glad to get 50.
Did you eat at True Love's Hamburgers in Bowley?
True Love.
True Love Hamburgers?
I guess it did because I ate everything they had around there. That was fun.
They had places to dance too, from what I understand.
Yes. It was Blacktown, and they had a bank, and they had everything. It was a small town, and the whole community around there was black. They had a nice high school. So.
I've just heard a lot about the hamburgers. They were supposed to be very good.
Yeah.
Did you expect to live to 100?
You know what?
Did you expect to live to 100?
Oh no, no way. I have to wonder why the good Lord has let me stay here.
He's not finished.
But you wonder what it is he has in mind.
I don't know.
I wrote to my brother-in-law the other day, and you ought to see me writing that. I told him I was easing up on 103.
Oh, how old were your parents when they passed?
My dad was 71, and my mother was 87.
So, has anyone lived to be 100 in your family?
No.
Goes back to churning butter.
Go back to what?
It goes back to churning butter.
Yeah.
So I want to know how important was religion in your family? Can you talk a little bit about the importance of religion in your family?
Very important. Very important. Yes, very important. My parents held no leading positions, but they were very cooperative and really saw to it that I went to Sunday school and church.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
If they had to discipline you, who did? Your father or your mother?
Oh, my mother. My dad never would have laid a hands on me. I was his little girl, and he was so proud of me, and he didn't want anybody to bother me. I got away with a lot.
Oh.
That's the advantage of being a baby in the family. What do you think contributed or to your longevity? What's your secret?
Well, I would think, first of all, was my religion, the guidance that I had, and I had good parents. my mama was strict on us, but it was for good. And it helped me to choose good friends. And I don't know what else.
Do you have a philosophy or a motto you live by today?
I have a very good younger friend in my church. And, very inspirational, and does that answer your question?
Well, I want to know, is there something you, a philosophy or some type of motto you live by?
No more than trying to issue all of the good that I can do. And I can't do a lot now, but I just believe in living right. That has been my principal thing, is to be sure that I live right. Try to be an example to younger people. Now I have that coming back to me now. Talk to somebody. Oh, Miss Hunter, I can remember you when you used to come to PTA. I remember when you, and it's encouraging.
What's a typical day like for you today? When do you wake up? What do you do? When do you go to bed? What's a typical day for someone your age?
I usually wake up around 7 o'clock, and I still fix my own breakfast. I'm very slow in the mornings because I have this condition of my feet, and they're painful, so I dread moving on them. But I still ask her to let me do what I can for as long as I can. So I do my little laundry. I change my bed. And she does the cleaning. Otherwise it wouldn't be clean. I can't do anything heavy anymore because I can't see, but what I can feel to do. And I haven't lost my sight so long ago that I don't remember where I have things, so I can put my hands on them. But it's been painful to lose two of my good senses, my hearing and my eyesight. I would love to have kept them, but I'm by that like I was by my son's death. I said, well, the good Lord let me keep him 62 years. So he let me keep these two senses for 100 years, so I won't complain. And I do as little complaining as possible. She might catch more than she needs to, but...
Well, she's family.
Huh?
She's family, that's okay.
Yeah. that's it.
What time do you usually go to bed? What time do you usually go to bed at night?
Anywhere from 12 to 1:30.
Oh, wow.
But I'm sitting up sleeping. I wish I could go to bed, but when I know anything, look what time it is. So then I try to rush and get into bed.
Did you read a lot? Or did you used to? Or?
Oh, yes, I used to read a lot. That was one of my joys.
What were some of your things that you used to read or your favorite?
Junk. The newspaper, magazines, different articles, you know, things that I could keep up with. And
Current events. You must like current events. You must like current events.
oh yes,
She reads the Bible.
Jet magazine,
She reads the Bible. every-
Ebony.
What about the Bible?
Oh, 12 o'clock at night when I come from back there to the bedroom, I read my chapter before I go to bed. Thinking I'm in the bedroom, I'm looking, my Bible is right beside my bed. And it's the kind of Bible that when my pastor could tell I was losing my eyesight, made me a present of it. And it has thin white sheets. And I, believe it or not, that's the only thing that I can read comfortably is that Bible. So, yes, I read the Bible.
I imagine you've read it through a time or two. I imagine you've read it through a time or two.
Oh, yes. Yes. Sure have. I'm just finishing up Paul's letters to the churches.
Well, is there anything left on your wish list you'd like to do?
That I'd like to do. I tell you, I enjoy peace and quiet now, and a few friends that still come. They know my schedule. They know I like Jeopardy. They may as well not call. In other words, I like to see other people use their brains, even though I can't. So, that's that.
When history is written, what do you want it to say about you? When history is written, what do you want it to say about you?
That she only emphasized the fact that she tried to be a good person, helping others. I'll give my last nickel almost to help someone. And God has so blessed me that I have been in a position to help kids, you know. So that's it. Just generally a good person is all. fortunate to know good people and good parents.
And a good sense of humor.
I think so. Yeah.
Anything you want to add before we close off? Anything you want to add before we shut the camera off?
The camera's been going.
Yes, ma'am.
No, nothing more.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.